Today we have a special guest, Mr. Matt Foltz. Matt and I met a couple years ago through a mutual friend, so to speak, Steve Beecham, and you had a vision for a podcast. We sat down, had a conversation, and did some work together. It was fun. We did some traveling, and he had his podcast called Feeling the Healing with Foltz. And we've connected over that, stayed in touch, and I wanted to have him on because he is, to be honest with you, one of the most humble people that I know. The kindness that he displays to everybody and the way that it just radiates, I think that speaks volumes of your character. And I just appreciate you being in my life and being here. You've been a good light for me, and I appreciate you.
Wow. You're playing me up pretty big right now. I don't know if I can. Yeah, it's been an interesting road with our time together and our travels. Hunter and I got to sit and talk about a lot of different stuff and a lot of life stories, life challenges, and he told me a lot of really cool visions that he had. I got to tell him a lot of visions that I had as far as future endeavors, and you've always been really good to kind of nudge me in the right direction and say, that sounds like a cool idea and you should do that. And so, yeah, I'm glad to be here. This is kind of cool. I'm excited to see where this thing goes today.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Already getting emotional in the first 2 minutes of the video.
Right?
It's so cool to see the transformation, even since the time that I knew you, of everything Lord's done since then in both of our lives. And just to be still connected is really cool to me. So appreciate you being here.
How long have y'all known each other again?
About 2 years? 2 years maybe?
Yeah, we started the first one. Yeah, it was a couple of years ago.
A couple years.
Yeah, we didn't do much last year, but then, yeah, about 2.5 years.
And when we started with an iPhone, and then we slowly, gradually improved, but he was there from the beginning. So
yeah, we had the biggest guest with the iPhone.
Mm-hmm. John Smoltz with an iPhone.
Oh, yeah.
John Smoltz was iPhone. We probably need to go back and re-interview him.
Yeah. Hey, the views still were pretty good on that video, though. So
that was a great
We reached good people. That's what we're looking to do. So, but anyway, I just want to jump into your story a little bit, and anything you feel led to share, or wherever you feel you want to go with the conversation, we're going to go there. But tell your story and what you think will impact people.
Well, just so a little bit about myself, so people can understand me, is I'm a physical therapist. So I work in orthopedics, and I deal with a lot of different injuries. And I think when I first started back in the 90s doing what I did, and I jumped in as a young person and just all in on, this is the physical. It's called physical therapy. It's physical. We got to get people back to running, playing sports. And back then I treated a lot of athletes and still do, but I was very much in the realm of, pro wrestling and all this stuff. And it was fun. But I guess the older I've gotten, and Hunter and I have had these conversations over lunch, moving past more physical and trying to incorporate more mind, body, and soul. I think there's a lot more to healing someone physically, when it comes down to what I do, because I spend a lot of time with patients and I spend a lot of time listening to them, and they tell me all the sometimes the things that are going on in their lives, and and ministry is a hard thing, I think, sometimes when you're in a profession to talk about, but I think there's a way that I can do it with my patients that's in a caring way, that they can see who I am as a person, and then and they know I think they can feel that energy, of that spiritual energy, and that's really what I'm after these days is more that mind, body, and soul kind of realm of therapy. Now, that's not really what we're. It's still physical therapy. I can't charge an insurance company for, trying to heal somebody's mind and soul, but that's the bigger picture that I'm after these days.
Yeah.
I came from, I was very blessed to come from a good family. I grew up in Roswell, and my parents made sure we got up in the morning and went to church. I was involved in youth group, and I was involved as a teenager. Of course, went off to college and played 1 year of college football. And, you go to college and you kind of get distracted from the church scene. But like I said, it was always there. It was always a core value.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that always stayed with me. Then got out of college and went to grad school and got married, and we were, always kind of picked back up into in our spiritual world, even though we never really left spiritually. There's times as a youthful person, not even then, but as adults too, there's time that people get distracted from God. I think it's the world, the chaos, and obviously that's what the world wants.
Yeah.
That's how the world will attack not just God's people, but all people, just through that distraction.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very fortunate that I was blessed, that I always had that as an anchor, that I knew, you're always coming back to that. Like I said, I was blessed that it wasn't like I was like, I'm not like, I'm sorry if I'm not a great guest, that I strayed and I had some big story that I was in the streets, streets drinking out of the sewer, or anything like that. But, I think thankfully my parents were good, solid Christian people that taught me good values.
Praise God for that.
But we so as far as being a physical therapist, so I going back to that a little bit, the mind, body, and soul part of that is where I'm really have started to move towards helping my patients connect better with themselves, and we're still trying to work more on that as far as some initiatives that we're doing. I've talked to Hunter about that as far as some wellness things, and but every morning I think I've spent here lately. I say lately, in the last several years, I've become more connected in my quiet time. It's easy to get up in the morning and just take a shower, slick the hair back, get out the door. So now I'll make sure I get up extra time. So I'll on purpose have my time quiet, my prayer time, time to reflect on the day, pray for my patients, not like patients.
Yeah.
my clients.
Yes.
But then again, sometimes my patients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We all need a little bit
we
of
all
that.
need to pray for that.
But that's become a big, and I think that's important for, if anybody has a takeaway of today, if you don't do anything else as a takeaway from the day, I would encourage anybody, and you may not think it's real, but to take, if it's not even just 5 minutes, to just be still. And if you're not a believer, then just be still, and just be quiet and listen to what's roaming around in your head. Because I think if you're not a believer, you might hear some things that are making you think. But I've told Hunter that I like I said, I say my prayers for people, but I spend about 95% of my prayer time in gratefulness. So I'm grateful for my upbringing, my friends, past, present, even future friends. My coaches, my pastors, my youth pastors, and so I spend a lot of time in gratefulness, because if you're in a state of grateful, you really can't be angry, you can't be mad. It refocuses your whole day. So takeaway from this: anybody listening, spend your 5 minutes of just, if you don't do anything else, just pick 5 or 6 things that you're grateful for, and you might find your day is going to be a little bit different.
My goodness.
Yeah.
How do you target specific things? Are you looking for something, or are you doing small things, big things? What are you looking at to?
You know what? Yeah. I'm glad you asked that, because sometimes it is crazy. So and again, it starts with my time just being still. What the Bible says, "Be still and know I'm God." Yeah. It'll change. Sometimes I'm grateful for big things. God, thank you for Megan, Jason, Debbie, thank you for my parents, thank you for my friends, and other things, it's ridiculously small things. Thank you for the cool breeze on me right now.
Yeah.
I mean, just weird things. It's just stuff that comes to me. I mean, thank you for the sun I can feel on my face right now. And a lot of that's, I think, just thankful that I'm alive today. Thankful for this existence of you and me here today.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think it just varies. And I think that's the beauty of it. You don't have to It doesn't have to be anything. Structurally, it just has to be what you feel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have this little bird. We have a dog. Ramsey's our chocolate lab. We have a bird that used to be my daughter's, a little cockatiel. It talks, it whistles. It's silly. Sometimes I by name, I speak them out. Thank you for Ramsey and thank you for Fresca.
It's not
The little
silly.
bird. Just because they're
Yeah.
part of my life and they're part of my happiness.
Mm.
Silly,
So
that,
good.
yeah, silly a bird is happy, but bird's happy.
Yeah.
Wow.
The little things.
Yeah.
The fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control. Would you say, I would say you're somebody that walks in that daily. And every time I see you, you're at that place. Do you attribute that to your quiet time in sitting in gratitude? Or
Oh,
what else?
definitely. Yeah, I think as it puts you in the right frame of mind from the get-go. Now, of course, like I said, there's that can change real. I start driving to work and speak. Maybe I should have prayed for my patience because now I'm stuck in,
That's the truth.
And the traffic. And if there's one thing that my family knows about me, my friends, is I don't do well with traffic. So yeah, it can get real quick.
Yeah.
That's
real.
that whole prayer time can sometimes oh boy. But I will tell you, I oftentimes now even more so than ever, I remind myself, well, quite likely that I'm being kept from being in the wrong place at the wrong time as far as an accident or
Yeah.
something like that.
100%.
I always have to remind myself that, all right, God's got you
Amen.
right where He wants you.
Yeah.
He's got you right now where He wants you, because I see plenty of people that have been in bad accidents and
Yeah.
Seconds.
yeah,
Yeah.
something can happen in a moment.
Yeah. So I attribute to whenever I lose my keys, before I'm trying to leave somewhere, I'm like, I lost my keys. And then I remind myself that maybe God could be keeping me from an accident or something, He jumps in those little what we tend to take as annoying moments. It's really the angels and the Lord protecting us.
Oh, I got too many stories on that. I want to
Yeah.
I want to shift back a little bit to the physical therapy side and how you found that to be your purpose and what you were called to do, because you've been doing it for 30 years now.
I graduated Emory in 1995. Yeah. It started as as a young athlete, just injuries, and a local therapist who was in charge of our sports medicine, and I became interested, and it just clicked. I mean, it was just something that I found passion for. I don't know why it clicked. I think it's hard for anybody to really find their purpose. And I think it's probably a very difficult thing for people, young people, and even aging people to wonder, are they in the right purpose? But I started doing some work with this therapist during the summers, and then I thought, you know what, I prayed about it. I was doing a lot of praying about it. Is this really where I'm supposed to go with this? And it did. And it's crazy because God, let me back up a little bit. When I was in high school, I was a terrible student. I mean, I think I worried my mom that I was never going to graduate. I mean, terrible student. And but I didn't care because I cared about sports.
Yeah.
I played football, basketball, baseball, and that's all I cared about. And so I was terrible. So if it wasn't for an opportunity when I went to Western Carolina, I went there and played 1 year of football, that I probably even got into school. And so there I transferred to Georgia, and I was going to play there, but I had to be redshirted a year because I played. I actually traveled and played when I was at Western. And back then, not like today, if you actually played a certain amount, you had to wait out a year. While being young, I was like, I'm not going to just go to practice and just not play. So I opted to just use my redshirt year to just stay out. And I think it was a God thing too, to be honest with you, because it gave me a chance to learn to be a college student, and not be distracted as an athlete, because I don't know if I'd have been able to pull that off.
Yeah.
And so I got better as a student, and at the University of Georgia, and learned how to study. I think I started to mature a little bit more. And so, again, I think that was a kind of a God thing where I started asking myself, what was I supposed to do? And the sports medicine thing kept popping up. And So when I was at Georgia, in the exercise science world, you had to do, when you're in that program, you have to do a couple internships. Mm-hmm. So one of them was with a guy named Mike Cantrell, and he was the PT for the University of Georgia, like the health department. And so I spent time with him as part of my internship. And I don't know why, but Mike kind of took me under his wing, and I guess he thought, this is, probably not a very smart kid. Maybe I need to help him some. And he said, I want you to do this. He says, I want you to, when you graduate, I want you to reach out to a gal named Pat Vine. She works at Emory Rehab Center. And I want you to go and tell her you talked to me and that she needs to give you a job. And I did that. And at the time, she didn't have a job for me, but then a few months later, she did, as a physical therapy like tech, where we wheeled patients from, this is a rehab hospital, so these are people that have had strokes, head injuries, and things, bad accidents. So he said, after you're there, then you can get what's called a courtesy scholarship when you go to school there. So I did just that. And so I finally got into Emory University, had a courtesy scholarship, where I got a third of my tuition paid for, because at this time I was married and we didn't have a whole lot of money. And so I think there's people that come along in your lives that can help guide you, that are also, when you're praying about it, God will come along. Mm-hmm. And that opened that door. And so then I was at Emory, and again I'm thinking, man, I just don't know if I'm smart enough to get through. I mean, this is medical school. Mm-hmm. Essentially, we have a cadaver lab, and there's a lot of anatomy and physiology. There's a lot of stuff. But I persevered. God got me through it, and then afterwards, I wanted to do sports medicine, and then this big healthcare company was out there. Health South was the name at the time, and they took me on. And so just kind of like God was always there. There's always the next thing, always opened the door. Mm-hmm. But I was always praying about it, for Him to, what is the next thing? And I think that's hard when you're, I think one thing I don't struggle with it, but I always have to remind myself not to struggle. If I'm asking God for something, then don't go my own way and try to do something else and not do what I'm asking Him to do. Yeah, there's times in my practice where things slow down, and I've got therapists who they're like, I got to pay them. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't know if we have enough money, so I'm like, I'm on the prayer horn. I'm like, Lord, hello, we need patients to come in the door so we can financially work, and I need this to happen, and the therapist, they'll come like, do you need me to cut my hours? Do you need me to do this? And I'm like, no, no, because if I cut your hours, you know what I'm doing? I'm not, because if I do that, then I'm taking things in my own hand. I'm not being. Come on. I've already asked God to cover it.
Come on.
He's already covered it. So if I cut your hours, then I'm expecting God not to answer my prayer.
Jehovah Jireh. So He is our provider.
That's so good.
He is.
You know what? And I will tell you that time and time again, it's okay. We all of a sudden here the front desk like, man, I don't know what's going on, but the new patients the phones are ringing.
Come on now.
Yeah, and it is. It's
timely.
So
good.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool how it works.
Yeah.
And I think that's is to be faithful in your in what you ask.
Mm-hmm.
This is spiraling me. So talk a little bit more about trusting in the step by step and being faithful even when you can't see beyond what He's showing you right now. Because that was a test that He brought me through this past season. I'm a visionary. I see the end and I know what I'm working towards. Mm-hmm. So it gives me the motivation and anticipation to work towards it. But if you just know step by step, talk about the level of trust that takes.
Yeah, that's so. I told you I worked for Health South. I worked for them for 11 years, and it was a great experience. I had a great mentors. I had great managers above me, and awesome stuff. But I felt that it was time for me to step out and do my own practice, and I wanted to treat patients the way I wanted to treat them, and not be told. In big corporations, I get it. You have to see so many patients. You have to do certain things, and so Debbie and I talked about it, and I said, I really feel like I'm being led to do this. And we had saved up college money for the kids, and I said, well, we're going to have to take that money out of the bank. You can't just open the place up. It takes build out. It takes, so I left Hell South and took the kids' college money and opened up where I have Champion Physical Therapy that I have now. And hugely, it was a huge leap of faith. As I tell people all the time, it was like jumping out of the airplane and just praying my chute opens.
Yeah.
Because there's no, you don't know. Because, you may not get on insurance. You don't know this until you start, because insurance companies may not get you on their plan. They may lock you out. You may not get in. So, not being able to see, I knew I knew that I had what it took. I just, not being able to see, I knew where I wanted to be. But when you're really flying blind right now. And in fact, I gave Steve Beacham this analogy. Well, it's not really an analogy. My daughter and I were hiking out at Zion National Park, and we just got there, and I was kind of tired. And she's like, "Dad, let's go hiking." And she's like, "There's a trail right there, and I can see I can see the people up there. There's tiny little people." I'm like, looking. I'm like, "Baby, I see them too, but I don't see how you can get up there." She goes, "Well, there's got to be a way." I said, "Yeah, but I don't see it." So, of course, we started hiking, and it was one of those things like you start going, and you see this massive mountain in front of you, and you don't even see the trail until you get to the next corner, the next turn, and then and then you go and you just work your way up and up, and next thing you know, we're the little people standing up, and people are looking at us, and I told Beacham, I said, that was kind of the way this whole thing went. I said, I couldn't see. I knew there was a way to get there. I just had to trust that I was going to get there. Mm-hmm. And so, like I said, I opened up and started applying for applications, got on plans, and it was scary, but little by little, and I was able to hire another therapist, and we were do the next thing and the next thing. And I think I just never could extend myself too far. I couldn't think, but I just had to do what God had me do the next thing. Yeah. That's all I could do is what God had me do the next thing. And then I was very fortunate that another therapist I called him up. "Hey, you want to?" "Yep, I'm coming." And then when we started getting busier and I started to hire, and Lord, I need to hire another therapist. What am I going to do? Because therapists are not easy to find. Mm-hmm. And then I kid you not, there's times when all of a sudden, 5 days later, I'm getting an application from somebody, or somebody sends me a resume, and I'm like, "Come on in." And they were like awesome. They were a perfect fit. And I'm all those therapists. If they hear this, they'll know, because I've told them. I said, "You're God's answer to a prayer, because you came along and you're like the perfect person." Mm. So. Oh,
He has a way of doing that. When you surrender it to Him and say, "I want to work with the people you want me to work with." He brought me through this entire thing on a team level and on a client level too. And the way He draws people in is only in a way He could do, because He knows who needs to be around you and needs to hear what you have to say. It needs to be through your program. He knows. He draws the people together. But when we come in alignment, that's when He can do what He wants to do.
Yeah, I think if you try to force it, then you're out of alignment. Yeah, you really are. And I think that's, you're talking about purpose and helping people find their purpose. I think, I think obviously for someone who's in faith or who's a Christian, or even if you're just have faith and you're not, okay, let's say you're not a Christian, but you're in a Jewish faith, or but I think there's ultimately this God of the universe. And of course, I as a Christian know that, okay, my way to get to God is through Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. I know other faiths have their different visions of that, or their different thought process, but I know that that's what the Bible says. But it's being in alignment with what God's telling you, and being in alignment with what God's plan is, and that's hard unless you're taking time to really listen and ask Him. Yeah, I think too many times you're not willing to ask and be really obedient to really what He says. For people that are called to do missionary work, I have a lot of respect for that, because that takes a big, huge leap of faith for someone to say, you know what, God, I heard you. I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
And I'll go to South. I'll drop it all and go. Sometimes I wonder, I look back on my life. I thought, well, I wonder, did God ever really ask me to do that? And I don't think He did. I think maybe I look at my life now. I think, and looking back on it, I think my mission was here in North Fulton, and just kind of being a part of people's lives, and how through what I do as a living, what I do for a living is in kind of what we already talked about, and just like being around, being around my patients and being a part of their lives. And what's crazy is, to this day, I still have people, they'll pop in and they're not even patients, they just want to stop in and say hey. And so it's kind of neat to build those relationships with people, and so I respect the folks that get called out on missions, but that's what people do when they really listen to what God's telling them to do. And I think that's hard, because I think some people think, I think well, maybe I wish really God was telling me I should be a movie star. No, maybe God's telling you just need to be the best. I don't know, whether it's a plumber, electrician, garbage man, garbage woman, or grocery, whatever. I don't know, but it's sometimes you got to be where God wants you to be.
That's it. Be faithful where He plants you. That's so good.
And I forget who I told this the other day, because we were talking about it was related to a passing of a young person. It was actually, I know now, it was a patient of mine, and it was someone they knew, and they were like a 18-year-old that had passed away. And I said, that's hard to understand how God could take a young person or a baby or whatever. But I said, sometimes, if you really think about it, for myself, even if I was put on this earth to change one life, let's say that life went on to change thousands of lives. Let's say someone who really stepped in and changed Billy Graham's. Billy Graham was fortunate to be in a religious family, but still, at some point, there was a turning point where he led to change hundreds, if not millions, of lives. And sometimes you just wonder, God's plan is not for you to go and be like, I want you to be this best therapist, and Matt, all I need you to do is change one person. That person will change thousands of lives.
That's so good. That's it.
You never know.
It's about the one.
It's about the one.
It's about the one. That's
Ripple
Dabo
effect.
Sweeney's team, I guess, word for the season is it's about the one. It's what's in front of you. How are you operating in whatever you're doing at that given time in your conversation, your relationship? Are we in a hurry to get to the next thing? Or are we slowing down and being fully present and really appreciating the moment, having gratitude, and understanding that God has us in places for a purpose? And when you look for it, you find it, because He's got people for us to meet everywhere. He's got purposes for us everywhere. And He sends us. He really does. Like you were talking about earlier, when you're open, He literally just sends us around, and everything is orchestrated. He orchestrates the path of the righteous, right? And all we have to do is come in alignment with it and show up and obey the instruction that He gives us. And when we do, He takes us step by step, kind of like you're talking about, step by step, and they're building blocks. And it's one at a time. And then all of a sudden you look back over 20, 30 years and you're like, wow, that's some powerful experiences that He's brought me through, and who He's turned me into as a person. And there's a lot of trials and hardships, right, for anybody, all of us in life. But when you look back, I don't know about you, but me, I wouldn't change my circumstances in my life, because it's what molded me into who I am, and Lord used that to propel me to where I am now, so I can go back and help others. That fire that's in me is only in me because of what He brought me through and the perspective that He's given me. And do you resonate with that?
I mean, think about this. All right, think, Hunter. So, or Savannah, or all of us here. Let's say, okay, you passed away from the earth, and just think about you could just imagine if you were to you get to heaven, or this awesome universe dynasty, and you get there, and whether it's God or Jesus or some awesome angel pulls you aside and says, I want to show you something. I want to show you the people that you affected.
Come on.
But just think for a moment. If you're like, wait a second, I don't even know who that person is. No, of course you know, because that was the angry guy that you opened the door for at the grocery, and you were nice to him. Because you know that guy right there. If you didn't, let me play you a recording of his life after that, because he was on his way to kill himself.
Mm-hmm. I talk about.
So yeah. So think about the lives that we touch, which is more important of why when people are in front of us, why we need to be the stewards.
Yes.
Of God's people.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not be so quick to jump on to be angry, and that's why we start our day in gratitude.
Yeah.
To put ourselves in the right head space.
Yeah. You never know how much your kindness of just opening the door for somebody or telling them that you like their smile can change the trajectory of their entire life.
Yeah. So I hope that happens when I get to heaven, that I get pulled aside and I can say, let's do the highlight reel here.
Hey, well, you'll see me in there, I promise you. Because that act of kindness, seriously, immediately that stood out to me. I'm like, he's different.
Yeah.
You can tell he's different.
What's different?
There's something,
about
and
them?
it drew me in. And then we show up, we have vision, and we execute the vision, and here we are. But I want to do one more thing before we leave, before we log off. It's what you do at the end of every episode. What are your keys to success? What are the Matt Foltz keys
you should
to
have told me that.
success?
Now
You already basically
I
answered
know.
them.
Well, I interviewed all these people and I asked them that. I asked, John Smoltz and Terrence Mathis and all these different people, and so I think I've kind of piggybacked on a lot of those, but I think, and this is something I go back to, I gave this information. This is kind of a funny story, but when I left to go to college, my youth group at Fellowship Bible Church, they wanted the seniors to get up and give some advice. And I was not feeling well, so I give you that. I was not feeling well. I was already sick, but I went anyway because I wanted to talk. So I got up and I spoke, and I started getting kind of lightheaded, and I didn't feel real well. And I was given this advice when I passed out. But I said the advice I gave all the younger folks in the youth group was, and this is one of many, we'll talk some others, but to be yourself. God made us who we are. And so don't try to be someone else, and don't try that because trying to be someone else sometimes takes people down the wrong path, where you're trying to fit in, you're trying to do what they do, you're trying to be cool, just be yourself. So I said that, and I passed out, and I came to, and I said, what happened? Well, you were being yourself. And you passed out. I woke up, I had a compress on my head, and I've really lived by that kind of my whole life. That, and I encourage even my kids. I said, you know what, don't, when they were in middle school and all the middle school stuff, and I'm like, just, be yourself. Megan, you are an awesome young lady. Jason, you are a great young man. I said, you don't have to be anything but yourself, who God created you to be. So I don't know if that's keys to success or advice, but I think it's something that's helped me all along, because I always have to remind myself, you know what, that you don't have to go do that, because you're right where you're supposed to be, and you're yourself.
That's good.
That's it. And that's the most perfect answer. And that goes back to Myron Golden, who I talk about all the time. I've learned a lot from him, but he has defined success in the best way that I've heard it, period. He says, discovering the purpose for which you were created, or God's will for your life, developing yourself and allowing God to develop you into the person that can fulfill it, and then actually deploying yourself to do it. And that's success. It's not tied to an amount of money. It's not tied to how big you build something. That's it. Have you identified what God created you to do? Have you allowed him to mold you into the person that can do it? And then have you done it? And that could be finding that one person that has the ripple effect.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like Charlie Kirk, somebody like him. We see the tragedy that just happened. You think about the millions of people that are going to be reached, that he's already reached, but now are going to be reached. As tragic of a situation as this is, and as horrible as it is, the Lord will use this to draw people to him and to bring people freedom, because
Amen.
it's a gut punch that slows us down and puts us into a place of gratitude in our own lives, because we take moments for granted. When we go through the motions every day, we don't appreciate the things that God's doing in our life, the people that he has around us, when in reality it could all be taken away just like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
For one moment, everything can be taken away.
Yeah.
And so it puts us in this place of gratitude. Like, you never know, this could be the last time we sit down and have this conversation.
Yeah. You never
God
know.
willing, we'll have many more and bring impact and hopefully fill some of the shoes that Charlie's leaving behind.
Yeah. Amen.
But it's
We'll get
people
it.
like that that are leading point. I see and I go, I'm not shrinking back. I'm going to step up and fill his shoes. We're not going to stop, because the truth needs to be spread, because the truth is what makes you free, right?
More
That's
than
what
ever.
brings freedom.
Yep.
And we need it, because we live in a world that's in bondage. People not walking in their true identity.
Yeah.
People not knowing God. And it's sad.
It is.
But that's why he's raising up people like Charlie.
You know, they do know God. They know, or they feel God. They don't want to let him really speak to them.
Yeah.
I think down deep, people feel there's a bigger universe,
Yeah.
a bigger pull. Mm-hmm. They just want to reject it.
Yeah.
Because I think that's, evil has a hold of them, and it's easier for them to be held by evil than to let God come in.
Yeah.
But if they really knew that, they would know that things could be so different.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why Lord sends us to share the truth in love
Yes.
and bridge that gap.
Mm-hmm.
But Matt, thanks for coming on. See, I
Thank
had
you
no
so
idea.
much.
We had no
Yeah,
script
yes.
again. We had no idea where it was
No
going to go.
script.
Matt's
I don't-
like, I
Holy
normally send a whole sheet and we've got questions. I'm like, no, we show up and flow.
It was
just have a
fun.
conversation.
No, I thank you guys for having me. I mean, for asking me. You and I've had a lot of great, just
Seriously.
cool dialogue just over lunch and traveling and stuff. And so it's cool just to sit down and let's just see where things take us in this conversation.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So thanks for having me.
I'm glad to
Amen.
have you.
Thank you for being here.
Grateful for your heart.
Yes, I know you do have a good heart.
Thanks.
It's written all over your face. I was like, that's a good man when I met him. My discernment was like, it's a good one.
Go check out the podcast. We got some old episodes. Feeling the Healing with Foltz. I'll tag it.
Yes.
They're good ones.
All right. Till next time. See you
Until
guys.
next time. Thanks y'all for watching.